Welcome back to Daytime. I know when everybody hears the words workers' comp, they might get a little bit confused.
Well, today we are going to find out exactly what it is and how you can qualify for it. Eric Seidel is here to tell us all about it. And first, let's start with what workers' comp is.
It's actually very interesting, Cindy. What I like to do is I like to compare it to no-fault, because a lot of us here understand the no-fault insurance concept. The idea is if you're hurt at work, let's say if it's a minor injury or even a major one, if you apply for workers' comp, chances are you'll be able to get your medical bills paid and some of your lost wages if you had to take time off for work. But it's a compromise because, on the other hand, you can't sue your boss. So think about it. Insurance companies save, or companies in general save, a lot of money on this. They just have to buy the insurance.
All right, so then how did we come up with this system?
Funny you should ask, Jim, because I'm actually doing a 10-part little mini-series on the internet about the history of workers' comp. It's really very interesting. If you think about it, I mean, back in the 1800s, early 1900s, we all know how dangerous factories were. There were very few workplace safety laws. Well, what happened there is that people would try to get compensation for some sort of major injury. The court system was very difficult, and the judges all ruled that the employee assumed the risk. So this system was slowly developed, and as it was developed, it actually provided at least some type of compensation for workers.
And this started in the 1900s?
It did. It actually started in one state. The earliest law I was able to find was just at the turn of the century, as you say, and it slowly spread from state to state until around the 1950s. We all had the workers' compensation systems that we know now.
Okay, so then what is it that you get under workers' comp?
You can get your medical bills paid, but you have to go to a doctor that they say. Okay. If anyone's ever had workers' comp, you know that that can be complicated. The second thing is that if you lost time from work, it'll pay some of your wages, not all of it. So again, that may be something, you know, that you need to fight a little bit over. And then if you have a catastrophic injury, like let's say, you know, you lost the use of your legs or something, it might pay to modify your home so you can have maybe a ramp, and it might pay for things like a wheelchair or some other type of medical equipment that you possibly might need. Sometimes it can be very sad because, as I say, it only pays for the bare minimum.
Is it easy to get? I would think that if a business has gone forth and has this in place, you shouldn't have to jump through hoops to get it.
You would think so, but it's an insurance company, like anything, so sometimes you actually have to fight. I mean, just consider how many times you've gone to the doctor and the insurance doesn't want to pay, or they just want to pay a small, tiny little amount there. So sometimes you have to fight, and you might need to hire an attorney to do that.
You know, one of the things that people probably should know is that they need to step forward because companies are paying into it anyway. So
That's right.
I know some people might get afraid that their job's in danger if they hurt themselves and they don't want to do something, but you would advise to take care of it, right?
Absolutely. The first thing you should do is notify the boss. Any company that has 4 or more employees has to have workers' comp, and for construction companies, it's almost every company, even if you just have one or two employees. So yes, I would advise you tell the boss, because at least you'll get that minimal coverage. You cannot sue the boss, so at this point, you might as well get the type of compensation you deserve. Now, there are some rare instances, and I'll talk about this in a future show, where possibly there may be the opportunity to claim some more damages, but for workers' comp, nope, the boss is out of it. They just have to pay that insurance.
Any idea how often claims are fraudulent? That somebody doesn't really need workers' comp?
Well, it's not as much as you might think. I mean, when you talk about the no-fault insurance laws that we've been talking about, I mean, yeah, people might arrange accidents because you get up to $10,000 in PIP coverage in the state of Florida. Under no-fault, you really have to go to a doctor that they tell you to go to, and they have to diagnose these injuries. So it's really not as common as you might think with other types of insurance fraud.
Okay.
And sometimes if people have questions about it, they can go to their HR department, sit down, and really understand what it is. Because again, it can be confusing for some folks.
It's very important to understand. A lot of people didn't understand what it was. They thought, oh, it's some type of extra thing that maybe they shouldn't get or they should get. It can be complicated, but if you have an injury, you should do it. And what I would advise, if anyone has any questions, if you go to my website, ericandhelp.com, just look under, I have an on-the-job injuries section there. You can see videos that I've put together. You can see my history of workers' comp, and I'm blogging my 10-part mini-series, which is, each part's only a minute, so don't worry, it won't be too boring.
All right, well, to get more tips and information, go to Eric's website, which we have set up a link to on our website, daytimeonline.tv. Thanks, Eric Seidel.
My pleasure.
And we'll be right back after this.